together, and therefore what are the networks of trust? So it's no longer the networks of access, but it's the networks of trust. And when you shift to the world where you're dealing with a network of trust, part of what makes these bots so interesting to me is that they erode our pre-existing assumptions of structural entities as our trustworthy actors, which is one of the things I would argue we are seeing as a disruption at our political level far beyond the US in a way we can't get our heads around in the US. But we're seeing that move happening everywhere, where all of a sudden we're rebuilding networks of trust, and the bots are moving in that direction faster.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't know if it's good or bad either, but I think you're onto something really interesting, and I think that it's something that I've been wrestling with a lot as I discuss, as I internally and things, and as I have conversations with other people about the potentials and problems. So yeah, I think you said not that to say much.
Well, you sort of touched on it in his answer, but I wanted to ask, so in the case of Mexico, like you mentioned, everyone like, oh, there can't possibly be a supporter of this president, you must be a bot. And so what does it do to that space of conversation where it doesn't even matter whether a person is a bot or not? And you know, what does it do to the discourse? Are these bots, do they generally just erode the conversation so much that it becomes a place where you can't have a meaningful conversation? Have you looked at this in other places?
I'd really like to look at this more in depth, you know, and I think that you know much more about the Mexican case than I do. But what I would say is that it's on a case-by-case basis, right? So in Mexico, it looks one way, whereas in Ecuador, it looks another, and in America, it looks another. And the ways that they're being used in different countries are different. But I think it is a problem in a lot of ways, like in Mexico, for people that, you know, there was a school of thought a few years back that is still very much holding on, that the internet was going to be this thing that would allow us to talk about democracy and that we could organize. And there's a lot of conversation over the Arab Spring about these kinds of things happening. And you're hitting the nail on the head when you ask a question about what do these actors do to the communication channel, to these new communication channels? Do they fog everything up? I don't know. You know, I think yes, to a degree they do, but it's a case by case situation.